What's up guys, it's me Kupo, and here I'm going to show you guys my first game of set 16. I was fortunate enough that Riot invited me to the LA office to try out the new set. If you guys don't know me, I'm going to be a new content creator in English. I'm a LATAM content creator. So I was one of the few people in LATAM that were able to try out the new set, but I want to make content in English. So, well, here's one of my first videos. And I wanted to show off the new set to you guys. So if you guys have any questions of any mechanics, let me know in the comments. Hopefully I can answer pretty much anything. Here, I'm showing off the team planner because as you guys probably saw from the dev drop, the main mechanic of the new set is unlockable champions. Throughout your game, you're going to do like small missions. For example, Ionia, to unlock her, you need to field 3 unique Piltover units in combat. Once you finish this mission, in your next shop, you're guaranteed to have a copy of Ionia. And for the rest of the game, Ionia is going to show up in your shop. So unlockable champions, really cool. We're going to go over details of what I think about the new mechanic. I think it's really, really cool. And I honestly think that it opens up a lot for design space within TFT. But going back to the team planner, right? So one of the first things that they told us is probably your first few games are going to be pretty overwhelming. You're not going to know what champions you want to unlock. You're not going to know what you have to do to unlock them, right? So the biggest recommendation they gave us is to use the team planner. The team planner is going to have all of the champions within the set, all 100 champions, and their unlock condition if you hover over them. Apart from that, once you put your team in the team planner, you're going to have this little button here above your shop, where if you click that, it's going to show you all of the missions that you've had progress towards, and all of the missions in your team planner. So that way, you know what missions you want to do in order to unlock the champions that you care about throughout the game. So first off, I'm just doing TFT fundamentals here. I'm just buying pairs of champions, and based on whatever I get 2-star first is what I'm going to build here. So Double Trouble, it's a new set. I don't even know the units that are in this set. This is my first game, so I don't want to risk it by going for Double Trouble. Salvage Bin, it's a good tempo set. I rerolled this and I actually got Dish Soap's augment as my first augment here. Birthday Reunion, you gain a random 2-star 2-cost champion. And when you reach level 6, you gain a random component. When you reach level 9, you get a random 2-star 5-cost. So I went for this. I saw it as a new augment. I got a Yasuo 2-star there. As you could see, fielding this Yasuo gave me progress towards 2 missions. It gave me progress to unlock Kennen, which you unlock him by fielding different defenders or Ionia units. And it gave me progress to unlocking Yone. You unlock Yone by getting a 3-star Yasuo. So Yasuo is pretty much like a reroll comp. It's like a reroll unit. Yasuo is your typical Yasuo. It's an attack fighter. So here, the encounter is the Poppy encounter, which is just 2 components. I don't think that they're really putting in new encounters. I don't think that the mechanic really allows for it. So you're going to have your typical encounters of 3 gold augments, etc. With those 2 components, I got a Titanic here. And I was looking for like a tier to build a Hodge, but I didn't get it. So I just went for this belt thinking that this is probably going to be like a good defensive item or a Sterax in case I want to go for 4 Slayers. So here, we lose here. We're probably going to make 10 gold here selling this Jarvan. Oh, we don't. Well, probably playing tempo. I don't want to lose too much HP in the early game, but probably should have sold that Jarvan because my early game board here is going to be 3 Ionia plus a Slayer. So here, tempo play, I decide to level up, put in that Kiana. I put this belt on Shen because I'm probably not going to use it on Yasuo anytime soon. And there you go. I still don't have my team planner built. So that's why when I click on that, it doesn't give me those missions that I tell you guys about. But pretty soon, we're probably going to open up the team planner to put the comp that we're going to work towards throughout this game. So here we're going up against someone playing Yordle with Bard. Bard is a really interesting unit. I'm gonna let you guys know. A writer told us pretty much that Bard is like the key to reroll comps because we asked him with so many unlockable units at the 4 and 5 cost, is this going to be like a full fast 8 set? And he told us that Bard is like the key to unlock reroll comps. Where Bard, you unlock him by rerolling 4 times before the first carousel. And whenever you lose a round with Bard, you gain rolls equal to the stage level. They might change that in PvE, but either way, you're going to get free rerolls, which is what's going to allow you to get those 1 and 2 scars to 3 cost real quick. Now here I'm looking at the unlock conditions for the Ionia units. And for the Slayer units, the most interesting Slayer that we have as an unlockable is Aatrox. Aatrox is a legendary Slayer where his damage scales off of Omnivamp, and the way you unlock him is by fielding a unit with 40% Omnivamp. This is really easy with 4 Slayers, but you also need something like double BT or BT and a Hodge. So that's why I'm holding on to my glove. I want to build that Hodge. Set, you unlock him by only fielding 1 unit in the front 2 rows. Kennen, you unlock him by fielding a ton of Ionia units, and Yone, you unlock him by fielding 3-star Yasuo. Ionia is really interesting in this set. It's similar to Mirage from Dragonlance, if you guys played the set Revival. Ionia changes with every single game. So in this game, I'm getting like a scaling trait, where every time an Ionian unit uses their spell, all Ionians gain 3% attack damage and ability power. So it's really, really key to put in as many Ionian units as I can. That's why I'm going full vertical Ionia, putting in 7 Ionians. Here I'm putting in Yasuo and all the expensive units to build this board of 2 Bruisers and 2 Slayers. So that gives us like 2 spaces to put in other units. We could put in a Defender to have a little bit more frontline. We could put in a Warden, but we're probably going to go for 4 Slayer because the key of this comp that I'm building is going to be 3-star Yasuo and Yone, 2-star Yone. So I want to level up those champs as much as possible. We're going to throw in 4 Slayer there. Other ways to play Ionia, Yunara is probably the premier AD carry of the set. She's going to be the Ginzo user. I believe that with her hold, she starts like throwing a laser that penetrates units. So it's really, really cool. But I'm going full Slayers here. So we go for that tier to build Hand of Justice on Yasuo. With that, we have 2 items. But that's like another way that you could build Ionia, right? You don't necessarily have to build around 3-star Yasuo. You could also go vertical Ionia, get a solid front line with 2-star Yunara, and set in the late game. So here we have the Slayers. We already went over the unlockable Slayers. Someone is playing Shadow Isles. So Shadow Isles is really, really interesting to me. And it's a really good example of how these unlockable units really unlocks really good design space within TFT. So Shadow Isles, the only unit that you could play for Shadow Isles at the beginning of the game is Viego. Shadow Isles is a trait where whenever a unit dies, you start collecting souls, which gives permanent stats to your Shadow Isle units. This is the type of trait that they're trying to like go away from because it's only useful at the very beginning of the game pretty much. It's only useful on 2-1. If you hit Shadow Isle on 2-1, you're playing it. If you don't hit it on 2-1, why would you even bother? It's like too late in the game to get those souls. But with unlockable units, what they could do is have the only base Shadow Isle unit be Viego, and by putting items on Viego or by collecting a certain number of souls, you start unlocking the rest of the Shadow Isle units. So you have to like dedicate yourself to playing Shadow Isle. And if you don't want to play Shadow Isle, you're not going to have those useless units that you don't have like any interest in playing, clogging up your shops. So I think the design space is really, really good for this set. My only main concern is balance because of that mechanic where once you unlock a unit, it's guaranteed to show up in your next shop. But I feel like it's really easy to balance around that. I mean, there are probably going to be certain compositions that are really, really consistent since you're guaranteed to hit your 4 cost and 5 cost. But they could balance around that. If it's too easy to unlock, let's say Void, right? If it becomes a problem where going into Kaisa and then going into the Rift Herald is really, really consistent, they could just nerf Kaisa and the Rift Herald accordingly. So, I don't know. I'm very, very hopeful for the set, and I feel like it's going to be really, really good. So here, my board died pretty quickly, so I think it's a good moment to ask you guys, if you like this type of content, generally, I like to do like step-by-step commentary explaining every single one of my plays. I want to make my content really, really friendly for new players. So, if you like this type of commentary, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, drop the video a like, share it with anyone that is like interested in starting to play TFT, especially with this new set. And yeah, my goal with the channel is to make educational content. And hopefully like I could get back to competing. My peak elo was like in set 6. I was in Challenger in LAN, which admittedly is probably like a fake server, but I really want to go back to competing. So that's kind of pretty much like my goal with this channel. So here we got another Yasuo here. Since we're playing a 2-cost reroll, our main goal here is to get to 50 gold as soon as possible and start slow rolling at level 6. I don't really have like enough Yasuos to like hyper roll to put pressure in the lobby. So that's going to be our game plan for the mid game. Now here, admittedly, I have 4 Ionian units, so I probably could have put something like a 3-cost Slayer in, or even this Nautilus. I believe that we have a Warden in. So yeah, we have a Warden, so that would have been better versus the 1-cost Shen that I have here. But here I'm just like reading all the new units. At the time, like I'm like trying to process all of this, right? So that's what I feel like this new set's going to be about. Like the first couple of games, you're going to be really overwhelmed with all the units you can unlock. But my recommendation is just to pick a line, at least for the first games. Go for a vertical, put that into your team planner, and like play around it so you could get a feel for the unlockable units. So here we're probably going to lose these rounds until we get that 3-star Yasuo or until we get 5 Ionians. Here with my items, I'm left with a Rod, a Tier, which is probably not very good items for an AD comp. So, sorry about that. Probably not good items for an AD comp. And I'm holding on to this Cloak in order to build a BT. So second augment here, I'm going towards Big Grab Bag to build that BT, but I get this new augment, Precision and Grace. On takedown, your champions dash to their next target, gain 25% attack speed for 3 seconds. Historically, these type of augments are really strong on frontline carries, since you jumping into a new unit makes it so you don't spend that much time walking up to them. So essentially, it's aside from that attack speed, it's also another like damage buff since you get to your new unit as quickly as possible. So I went for that combat augment. Generally, reroll comps, I like to think of these combat augments as additional items. So if I'm able to get like 2 combat augments for my Yasuo, I have like a 5-item Yasuo, we could say. 3 items plus the 2 augments. So that's why I went for that. And like spoilers here, we're going to suffer throughout the game getting that BT. I'm just going to let you guys know off the bat. So I also don't really want to use this tier. I already have a Hodge built for Yasuo. I could probably build like another Hodge for Yone, but tempo play here. I don't want to keep too many components on my bench, so I go for a Spirit Visage for my tank. For now, I'm using Xin Zhao as my main tank, but my intention is to put these items on Wukong eventually. All right, so here we win this round. Pretty simple here. But yeah, pretty much at this point, I don't know what I'm going to do with this rod. I think the best item I could build is probably Gunblade, and this is going to be a BT. So now that we fielded enough Demacian units, we unlock Poppy, and as you can see here, Poppy shows up on the rightmost slot in my shop. So once you unlock a unit, you're guaranteed to buy them. I did not buy that Poppy, wow. Okay, I completely forgot to buy Poppy. Oh, because she's Demacian, right. Okay. So that was my bad there, but that's good. It shows off like what happens if you unlock champions that you don't really want. So I think I got that from star levels on Wardens or something like that. But whatever. The important thing here is I unlock Poppy. I don't really want Poppy because she's a Demacian. So if you decide to not buy a champion that you've unlocked, each shop that you go through that where you don't have this champion either on your board or your bench, you're going to have less odds to find that champion in your shop. So those are the type of things that I feel like are really smart with the set mechanic. Because if you start unlocking units that you don't really want, it's going to start diluting your pool of champions, and it's going to become harder for you to hit the champions that you actually want, in theory. But they put in this failsafe where if you're not buying that champion, obviously you don't want it, so it's not going to show up as often. Your first couple of shops might be griefed. We saw there, I saw 2 Poppies that I did not want. But after that, it's going to be a lot harder to get Poppy. So here, I go for a 1-cost Cloak. I wanted to go for the sword, but they took it away from me. In my head, I went for the Cloak because I want 1 Cloak for a BT. And if I'm going to build like a ton of melee-based carries, I'm not really going to have space for a Last Whisper. I'm going to throw on the audio here. I didn't throw on the audio up until this point because I was trying to comment my game like in live, but I came down with the cold, so I started like coughing and I said, you know what, I'm just going to mute my microphone and I'm just going to comment this once I get back home. So here, slow rolling, like we mentioned, but that's my intention with my items. I want to keep one of my cloaks to build a... What's this called? The one that you build with the belt. I'm blanking out. I am blinking out and I'm thinking about the Spanish name, but I'm gonna look for it. Even Shroud, Even Shroud. One of them, I want that to be an Even Shroud in order to penetrate armor. And I want the other cloak to be that BT in order to unlock that Aatrox. So other cool things as well, a lot of these legendary units, you can only unlock them once you hit a certain level. So you're not going to have this situation where you hit the unlock requirement for something at level 5 and then you just get like a legendary unit at level 5 and start stomping the game. You generally have to be like level 8 in order to unlock those units. Something really important as well is the unlock condition. As you guys saw, I leveled up the Shins out and that unlocked Kennen for me. For Kennen, you need to have 8 unique levels of Ionian or Defender units. But it says that you need to field these units in combat. So if the unlock requirement says field in combat, in that case, you need to go through 1 combat in order to unlock that unit on your next shop. This was really confusing to me at the beginning. I had like a Rioter to explain that to me on my second game. But those are the 2 different unlock requirements. If the unlock requirement says field in combat, you have to wait around, which I feel like is a lever that they can use for balance. If it does not say field in combat, you could get the unlock requirement, roll once, and you're going to have that unit in your next shop. I think the most common one that I saw was Veigar in the Yordle trait. You can unlock Veigar by building 2 Rabadons on 1 unit, and that's not a field in combat condition. So the second that you get 2 Rabadons, you can roll once, and that Veigar is going to be guaranteed in your shop. So here we go. I unlocked the Kennen. I get 5 Ionia there, and I can start hitting more Kennens. So other details of the mechanic that they told us down the road. I think they changed this after seeing our playtest. But after you hit a 2-star unit of a unit that you can contest for 4 and 5 costs, it's going to become harder to get more copies of that unit after your first 3 copies. This is because I feel like if you unlock a 4-cost unit and no one else in your lobby has it unlocked, it's probably really, really easy to get that to 3-star. Just thinking about how that works, right? You pretty much have a completely uncontested 4-cost, which we're going to see at the end of this game. At the end of this game, I start getting a lot of sets since I'm going to unlock set here, Legendary Ionian. Unfortunately, I didn't hit the 3-star set, but you're going to see like how many sets I get. So due to that, they put in this condition where after you get 3 copies of the unit, it becomes harder to get more copies of that unit. This is to simulate you being contested. So here I'm still slow rolling above 50 gold. I hit 8 copies of Yasuo, so I decide to roll down until I hit the 3-star Yasuo. So Yone is a field in combat condition. As we saw there, I finished the mission, but I'm not going to unlock that Yone until I finish this player combat. So hopefully this 3-star Yasuo is enough to win this round, to hold on to my win streak. We could go into like other traits here. Demacia. Demacia is pretty cool. Demacian units gain additional resistances, MR, and armor. They rally once they lose 25% of their HP, which gives them more resistances. And once you hit, I believe it's like 8 or 11 unique star levels in Demacia. Basically, you need to have 6 Demacian units in your comp. You unlock Galio. Galio stays in your bench. He counts as 1 Demacian unit. You don't have to put him in your bench. And once the Demacians rally, once they lose that 25 HP, Galio jumps in, stuns the board, and starts dealing damage. So last augment is a prismatic augment here. I kind of wanted to go for golden egg for the content, but I lost a lot of HP in my stage 3, so I feel like it's really, really risky. I'm also scouting around a bit to see if anyone has any combat augments. I decided to not go for the golden egg. Hold the line, we're playing a frontline comp, so we really don't want to go for that. And I kind of like Band of Thieves here. So I decided to go for Band of Thieves. I felt like my play there was either to roll it and risk getting a worse augment, or going for Belt to Overflow or Band of Thieves. Belt to Overflow, again, I'm playing a comp with frontline carries, so I don't necessarily need tank items, which is why I went for Band of Thieves. Worst case scenario, well, right now my items are kind of bad, right? So if I don't get those BTs that I want on these units, I could just throw the Thieves Gloves onto my Aatrox late game, onto my epic and legendary units. So I felt like it was pretty good. It's a good tempo augment right now. It pretty much represents like 4-6 additional items on my units. And late game, I could throw it on 2-star, 4 costs, and 5 costs. So that was my thought process behind that. Now that we hit that Yone, we have the two brothers, right? The cool thing about this as well is that their abilities have a really good synergy with each other. I don't know if in the video I went over their abilities exactly, so I'm just gonna look for it on like a stat site. I'm recording this after the show match, so pretty much if you guys want to see all the units, all the unlockable units, you could go onto a site like Mobalytics or Meta TFT, Tactics.tools. They should have all of that info. So Yasuo, we saw his ability throughout the whole game. Really simple. Yasuo dashes, then deals physical damage to adjacent enemies. If only one enemy is hit, it deals double damage. He also has the passive Blade Brothers. When you field Yasuo and Yone, Yasuo assists Yone's cast. When Yone casts, your strongest Yasuo blinks to every target Yone hits and deals a certain amount of AD. So that's why it's so strong. Once you hit that 3-star Yasuo, you're going to have Yone to complement Yasuo's damage. So that's the real like power spike of this comp if you decide to go for it. So here we have second pick here. Again, we want to go for that sword. I'm checking on the emblems that we could build with that frying pan. Again, they take away that sword for me. Kind of frustrating, but whatever. We go for this frying pan because we have a lot of like secondary traits within Ionia. We could do things like Juggernaut. The main one we want to do is Slayer, right? And now that I'm scouting around a bit, I see that someone is playing 6 Slayer. So that explains why. Like, it's kind of hard. It was a bit hard for me to get to that Yasuo, and why they're getting swords. Why they're getting swords? Because they also want to build items like BT, Sterax, etc. Now that I hit the 3-star Yasuo, I want to start pushing levels. Especially, I want to hit level 8 and 9 in order to hit that 2-star Yone and in order to start hitting those legendary units. So here, I feel like my opponents don't really have that strong of a board, especially since it's a playtest, right? We're all pretty much the same amount of lost. We don't know what we're doing. So boards are probably going to be weaker early game. The first couple of like hours of PB that people are trying to get their bearings. But after like a few days, you're going to know what you're doing, right? But I'm mentioning this because I wanted to take advantage of this because my real late game is behind epic and legendary units. Now that I have 3-star Yasuo, if I win these rounds, I feel like I'm strong enough to essentially skip my level 8, not roll on level 8, go directly for level 9, and try to hit 2-star legendary units. So that's a little bit about what we're going to do right now at the first half of stage 5. But the real important thing here is to start getting items from Ionia, right? Even if I lose a couple of rounds, I'm probably going to go to like 30, 20 HP at level 9, but I'm going to have carousel priority for them to stop taking my BTs and for me to start hitting like other items. In the downtime, I'm going through like the team planner to see what legendary units are unlockable. Here we got another TG, just throwing that TG onto the 2-star unit that I have here. In this case, it's Jhin. And nothing. I feel like we're really like comfortable with our board now. Just scouting around. Okay, the person that's playing Noxus, I feel like they're doing another way to play this set. And that's going like horizontal. That's what's really smart to me. Let's go for legendaries first. So 6, you can unlock him by putting 3 items onto a long shot unit. Zahin, you unlock him by getting a 3-star Shinzao with his hero augment. Shinzao has a hero augment, and once you get him to 3-star, Shinzao dies like he did in the cinematic, and Zahin takes over his items. So Zahin becomes your new carry. I think they mentioned that like in the dev drop or in the interview that Frodan had with Julian. But yeah, Zahin is really cool. He's a unit that once he casts, he continues to cast until he kills the unit that he's casting on. So he's that unit that executes tanks. And he doesn't even take that long to do it. If your opponent has like a really unkillable tank, after 25 casts, he just executes it. Volibear, you unlock him by having a unit with 3,800 HP. Thresh, you unlock him by collecting 175 souls. The T-Hex is back. You unlock him by fielding Piltover units. Silas, I think, is the most interesting one. You unlock him by selling a 2-star Lux, a 2-star Garen, and a 2-star Jarvan. Which Garen and Lux are 4-cost units. So it's a really big investment to unlock Silas, but Silas is a 7-cost unit. So he's probably really insane. So like I told you guys, my items are griefed here. Like I get another cloak. I get more defensive items, and I open my component anvil, and I don't get a sword. I don't even get a glove to build something like flail. So here I'm really thinking about what items I want to go for. I hover over the spatula eventually, and I realize that with spatula, you can build Arcanist Emblem, and Ari is an Arcanist. So we could go for that classic Arcanist set, build him full AP, like he was super broken in set 5. So here I decide to build a Warmog, just building that third defensive item onto my Wukong eventually. Right now on Shinzao, but eventually it's going to be on Wukong. And I'm thinking about what else I want to build with these components. Probably I want to go for a D-Claw here. And I'm left with 2 rods. So either I could build a Rabadon or I could go for that Arcanist. So here my opponents are starting to level up their units. So they're starting to, well, be stronger than my 3-star Yasuo. But I took this into account, right? My goal here is just to get to level 9. I level up here. What am I going to throw in here? Okay, I level up in order to get the unlock condition for set. So for set, you need to field 1 unit in your front 2 rows, and you need to be level 8 to, again, what we mentioned, right? To block legendary units from getting unlocked way too fast. So with that, I'm going to be able to get to, well, the boss. He's not a bruiser. He just has Ionia the boss. But I'm going to be able to get that Arcanist set in, and I'm going to have like a third carry in my comp. But that's why I push levels here. Just losing a little bit of econ, going down from 50 to 40. I'm just losing 1 gold. But that's giving me the opportunity to unlock set and make my board a little bit stronger. So the 1 gold sacrifice is pretty worth it. Yeah, as we see here, I'm starting to lose these rounds. So it's really important for me to start getting to level 9 ASAP and getting those 2-star legendary units. So as we saw there as well, it's a field in combat condition. So we have to wait until this combat ends in order to unlock set. And he's guaranteed to be in our next shop. We also got another copy of Yone, so 2-star Yone is going to be really easy to hit. And here, I'm thinking to myself, I can put the Arcanist emblem on set, but I don't have any other item to give him. I'm probably just going to have like a 1-item set, which he's a legendary unit. Like he could help me win a couple of rounds and preserve a bit of HP. So I go for the play of selling Jin in order to give sets a TG for now. And I'm throwing the Arcanist emblem in Gangplank. I really haven't been using my item removers this game, so I have 5 item removers that I can use in the late game to start looking for better set items in Carousel and Anvils and give him like a real BIS in super late game. For now, I got a clone board, so really easy to win this round. Admittedly, something that I probably should have done with these removers is my main carry Yasuo has 2 items. Because I was so stubborn in finding that BT or finding another good Yasuo item that I didn't give him another item for some reason. With 5 removers in my bench. So, do as I say, not as I do. I probably should have taken off the QSS from Yone and placed it on Yasuo. But whatever, in this carousel, I got an IE. So for now, we can build a full damage Yasuo, building him with IE, Hodge, and Titans. And I'm still waiting for another Omnivamp item to unlock this Aatrox. I feel like that's the only like bad thing about the unlockable like mechanic. But at the end of the day, that's TFT, right? You just have to be really flexible with what the game gives you. But for me, the bad thing is that you could like have a game plan, but sometimes due to items, you're not able to execute on it. But that's like the skill expression in the game. All right. But hopefully we do get that BT like later on so that we could unlock that Aatrox. So we got a legendary unit in our shop here, Annie. Should have probably thrown her onto our board instead of this gameplay, but whatever. Something that I want to point out about the legendaries in this set is that all of the legendary units, they don't have a trait. They have a class, but they aren't bound to a regional trait. The reason why they did this is that I asked about augments specifically, but they told me that design-wise, they want to limit as many dead options as possible. They don't want you to see like an augment and think, I can't pick this. Let's say Tesla Coil is the example they gave me. I don't want to go for Tesla Coil because I don't have item augments. I can't really take advantage of it. So those type of augments that depend on other things or that you need to get on 2-1, they're really limiting that within their design space. And they have the same philosophy for the legendary units. sometimes you get a legendary unit, let's say like Yone from set 15. But if you're not playing Mighty Mech, it's kind of like a dead legendary. You're not too excited to see it. So they decided to make the base legendary units in this set, the 8 legendary units without a trait, but with a class. Annie was Darkchild, Arcanist. So you can play it in a comp that has 2 Arcanists. We probably should have thrown it here because we get Arcanist with Ari. At least for a couple of rounds, at least for tempo. But because they do have a unique trait, they're also a little bit like stronger and more exciting. So Darkchild, I didn't field her, but I believe that Annie counts for like 2 units. You get a Tibbers on your bench as well, and they share star levels and I think items, but yeah. So Annie, really, really good mid-game unit as well. And that's their philosophy for all the legendary units, which I think is really cool because if you want to get a legendary unit within the trait, you just have to unlock it. And if you don't want to play a specific trait, you just don't unlock any units from that trait. I committed the mistake of unlocking a Poppy that I had no intention of playing, but we haven't really seen Poppy in our shops because of that like hidden rule that they put in, where if you don't buy an unlocked unit, you're not going to see it too much to not dilute your unit pool. Leona's a Targonian. That's also another interesting trait. Target units have no traits, as you can see. We have Aphelios and Zoe in our shop. Basically, they're similar to threats in that they don't have any trait, but they're stronger than units of the same cost. But something that I didn't realize until down the road, finally I get that BT, so I could build this build of BT, Hodge, and Titans. I'm probably going to use a remover to throw that IE onto Yone. But going back to that, so Targonians are traits. You probably only want to play like 1 or 2 of them. But I didn't realize that Aurelian Soul, he's a legendary unit that you can only unlock by fielding 4 Targonian units into your board. That's something like interesting we could do once we hit PvE. Just want to throw that out there though, that even though there are some traits that you don't really want to go for the vertical, there are some incentives in going deep into that trait to unlock certain units. So here now we're losing against vertical Noxus. Noxus is the summon trait of the set. They summon Otacon. And I think that he even has like 2 emblems. So here I realized, okay, I'm starting to lose a lot of life, a lot of HP here. Ornn is a reprint of the original Ornn that created artifacts. So like you could throw him in for a few rounds to farm artifacts, but I can't play Ornn in this board. So probably have to sell him here. Here I'm finally rolling down to get my 2-star units. I hit 2-star Wukong, 2-star Yone, 2-star Aatrox. Hopefully with this, we can finally build an actually decent board. Here I'm stubborn. Like I have a 2-star Ornn. I have to play this, right? I even throw a remover on him. But hey, I put that Declaw onto Wukong. Wukong, the premier tank of the Ionia trait. We want to give him all those items that give him additional HP. So here I feel a little bit more confident looking at this fight. With the 2-star Aatrox, I could finally start winning rounds. And I randomly unlock a Volibear. Again, I unlocked this because I have Wukong, which has the Bruiser trait, with an item that gives him additional HP. So I have a unit with 3,800 or more HP. I'm not going to go for Volibear in this game since I feel comfortable with the 2 Bruiser units that I have. And I want to throw in that Force Layer, right? So we're not going to go for Volibear. Possibly if we were able to go level 10, we would have thrown in that Volibear. But that's just an example of how you could sometimes accidentally unlock units that you don't really want to play. But as long as you don't buy them, there's no big deal there. Pretty much here, the only upgrade that we really need is 2-star set. Yeah, Aatrox. So Aatrox is a really interesting unit. His damage scales off of Omnivamp. So really his like BIS is that champion that you fielded with the Omnivamp items. Late game, you could throw those items onto Aatrox in order for him to deal a ton of damage. Like here you could see, he almost dies, he almost gets to half HP, but he just heals up with a single Gunblade. If you're able to get things like Hodge, double BT on him, he deals a ton of damage. So Carousel here, we're playing around a Rod. But I see a Fiddlesticks here with Jewel Gauntlet. I was thinking about going for BT just to get items for my Slayers. But I realized, like, I remember back set 5, how strong that set was with AP crit, Arcanist Emblem, and another AP item. So I feel like now's the term to do it, especially since I have a set to pair finally. So we throw that remover on him, we give him those AP items, we could throw this TG onto our Belveth, our other Slayer. And here the play is probably to roll down to hit set 2. So here you see other legendary units in the set. Zillion. Zillion's really cool. It's a reprint of the other legendary Zillion, where each round he starts like holding experience for you. And once you have enough experience to level up, he levels you up. So really cool unit there. Here I hit a shop with 2 sets. So this is where, like I'm mentioning, because no one has unlocked set, it's possibly really easy to hit set 3-star. So they changed this. They changed this from some playtests that you might see. So probably in PvE and in the actual set, it's going to be a lot harder to hit 3-star, 4 cost, and 5 cost of unlockable units. Tarek, 4 cost Sargonian, Yunara, the quick striker Ionian. Just more units that you could see here in the shop. So here I went from like being on the back foot to probably being able to win this game. The game is really close at the end here. The HP totals are 16, 14, and 10. All we have to do is win a couple of rounds in order to win the game here. So Void, just looking at how to unlock those units. Baron Nashor is really hard to unlock. You need to have like 8 Void units on your board. No, I think it's 6. You have to have a lot of Void units on your board, but you have to be level 10. So if you're able to get that, Baron Nashor is really strong. He's pretty much like a colossal unit. You have to use 2 board spaces to field him. But he deals a ton of damage, and you can throw items onto Baron. Apart from that, he counts as 3 for the Void trait. So you could still go for Vertical Void with Baron Nashor. The Rift Herald, you unlock the Rift Herald by fielding 2 Void units in for 8 rounds. So he's really easy to unlock if you have a Void opener, which I think is just a Kog'Maw and a Rek'Sai. Really easy. It's a 1 cost and 2 cost unit. And you just have to have that in for a stage and a half in order to unlock the Rift Herald. Kaisa, in order to unlock her, you need to put 3 items onto a quick striker unit, I believe, which is really easy because Kog'Maw has that trait. So if you want to play Vertical Void, all you have to do is put items on Kog'Maw. He's your Kaisa holder for the late game. And eventually, once you hit level 8, you're going to unlock that Kaisa. So here I keep rolling, and look at that. I have 6 copies of set and 50 gold. So here I decide to keep rolling to see how many copies of set I can get. 7 copies of set. Oh, and my opponent has 10 HP. So in my head, I'm like, okay, this is the last round. Let's go for that 3-star set. But I don't get another copy of set. So I decided to just leave it there. In my head, I could have probably sold like Aatrox to get another 15 gold. But if I'm looking for 2 copies of set, it's really not likely. If I hit an 8th copy of set, I would have just started selling my board and looking for the 9th one. But we weren't able to hit it. Oh well. So here, final round here, we could see that set. Triple item. Taking care of half of my opponent's HP bar. Yone and Yasuo taking care of the other half. And Aatrox cleaning up as well. So GG. That's my first game with Vertical Ionia for Slayers. Hope you guys liked the video. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Drop a like on the video. And I'll see you guys next time with more Set 16 content.